One of my first experiences this year was watching a TikTok in which a Peruvian guy was talking to a girl from another country, and she asked him how come he was saying that he grew up in a city if he grew up in Peru. This girl could not wrap her head around the fact that there are cities in South America. So this guy, all patience, asked her why she would think that, and her answer was, you know, the Emperor's New Groove. Oh, I usually make content in Spanish, but today I thought I would make a video discussing everything culturally and historically right and wrong with the Emperor's New Groove and whether it's accurate or not. It's not. First thing I'd like to say is that I love Disney, Pixar, and everything related to it, and you can tell by the amount of videos that I've dedicated to the movies, theme parks. I love all of it. And I also love the Emperor's New Groove. It's a hilarious, fun, entertaining movie, and though no, it does not portray Peruvian or pre-Hispanic culture accurately, it never meant to, and we're not even mad. We love it. Actually, I take that back. The project started as this, say, more serious story named The Kingdom of the Sun, which was supposed to be a retelling of The Prince and the Pauper set in ancient Incan times. And it was meant to incorporate a lot more of Peruvian culture. As much as I love The Emperor's New Groove as the movie that it is today, I'm a little sad that the original concept got scrapped. Now, do keep in mind that I'm not a historian, I'm not a history teacher, I'm just a regular Peruvian doing my best. Let's get into it. Before we get into the actual story, I never noticed these huge-ass Venus flytraps in the background before. I love those plants. I actually have 2 of them. Not originally Peruvian, but still awesome.
The name is Cusco. Emperor Cusco.
So Emperor Cusco, yeah, Cusco, Cusco is actually the name of a region and a city here in Peru, and it was also the capital of the Incan Empire and the first capital of Peru as a country. Not a name that I've heard of. So yeah, it's kind of as if somebody made a movie about the US and the main character's name was Miami or New York. In the original concept for this movie, the emperor's name was supposed to be Manco. That would have been closer. And also, his title wouldn't be emperor, it would be Inca. The Incas were the sovereigns of the Incan Empire, believed to be descendants from the actual sun god. So for the people, the Incas would be on par with a deity. The decoration in this scene is accurate. Lots of gold, that huge head ornament, those huge ass earrings, golden earrings. Let me show you a drawing or a chart of how the Incas were said to dress like. I actually think it's kind of funny that these people just built a passage out of nowhere in this scene and so fast. I imagine that's how things were back then, that the Inca just decided he wanted something built anywhere at any moment and the people just did it, and we still have no idea how. I mean, there's Inca structures that just seem downright impossible to these days. The architecture style in this scene, accurate. The shape of this kind of shape of the doors, yeah. The palanquin, yes. The stairs, yes. Oh my god, the stairs. If you've ever been to an archaeological site here in Peru, you know the stairs. And in that altitude, man. This music though, yeah, nothing to do with Peru at all. They should have gone with a wino, or I guess they could have gotten away with the chicha as well. Not the drink chicha morada, but the music genre chicha. But salsa, yeah, no, not Peruvian at all. This song kind of slaps though, so I don't care. So remember how I said the architecture was accurate? Yeah, it kind of is and isn't at times. The design of the palace reminds me of a tumi, a ceremonial knife that actually there's some debate as though whether it existed or not. And also, I believe this knife or this kind of art was sican. I think the head is supposed to represent the god Nailamp from the Cultura Zipan, but I have to get back to you on that one.
An enigma and a mystery in Mesoamerican history.
Yeah, Peru is not a part of Mesoamerica, guys. If they're supposed to be in Cusco, yeah, there's no oceans near Cusco. But the Incan Empire did extend all the way to the coast, so I'm gonna give them a pass. Also, did you know that there's actually a theory that the Incas populated the Polynesian islands? That means that Cusco and Moana might be related. That's my Disney conspiracy theory anyway. There's a lot of evidence to support this theory, not the Cusco and Moana thing, but the Incas and the Polynesian islands theory. They didn't use boats though, it was rafts. If you've ever talked to people who live in the country here in Peru, you might have heard them say alalau or ananau when it's cold. Well, fun fact, I recently discovered what the word for cold is in Hawaiian. Coincidence? I think not. In this scene, Pacha brings a document. So, for many years, people have believed that Quechua, one of the main languages spoken by the Incas and their people, had no written form. But there's actually a theory that it did, and they had many books and documents and even a library, but it was all burned down during the Conquista.
Pacha.
The word Pacha means earth or place. More accurately, it means place and time as an integrated term. Point being, it's not a name, or it wasn't back then, and it certainly isn't a common name nowadays here in Peru. I highly doubt that the Incas held court and listened to the complaints of the Hatunrunas or the common people. There's actually a theory that the whole Inca nobility spoke a separate language in order to differentiate themselves from the commoners. Anyway, since they mentioned that Pacha is the chief of the village, that would make him the curaca of the Ayu. Ayu was the name of the communities in which the empire was divided. It was a territory occupied by a certain group of families who worked the land together, and as long as they provided public work, bridges, and food for the nobility, the sick, and the elderly. Notice how I didn't mention the poor? There was no poor. And as long as they remained faithful to the Incas, they were granted protection. The system was based on reciprocity, so that everyone would help each other in times of need. Fun fact, society back then did not make a distinction between men and women the way Europeans made a distinction between men and women. But when the Spanish arrived, they could not understand the system, and so what they wrote on the records was based on their own view of the system, which did make a difference between men and women. Pacha's poncho and chuyo are on point though.
Welcome to Cusco-topia.
Cusco-topia, you know what? Cusco's attitude seems pretty accurate to me. Most Incan temples and palaces were built solely because the Inca wanted to show everyone that he could. I always imagine the Incas being like, look at that impossibly complicated landscape. Looks like the perfect place for my next palace. Notice how in this movie they don't mention a single place. Not the name of the land, not a city, nothing. Cusco-topia. I mean, they could have gone with an actual place. Now it's time to meet the best characters of this movie, Isma and the original himbo, Kronk. I have no idea where these names came from, guys. They do not sound native Peruvian at all.
You really should have thought of that before you became peasants.
I love Isma. The fact that Isma, the emperor's advisor, is a woman is such a modern concept. I know it shouldn't be, but it is. That it blows my mind that this movie isn't talked about more. And you know what? There's no evidence that positions such as high priest or curaca weren't filled by women, so I'll take it. The Inca actually had 12 advisors though, and 1 high priest. I imagine Isma must be like a fusion of those 2 positions. In the original concept, Isma was supposed to be the death god Supai. God, that sounded awesome. I've never seen purple in any Indian textiles though. I don't think they use purple. But since it's such a Disney villain color, I'm gonna give it a pass.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
This line is iconic. This whole part, accurate, of course not. Why haven't they made a Disney ride out of this scene? The food in this scene, soup and a salad and tea, yeah, no, I don't think so. This meal should include choclo, papa, quinoa, maca, maybe some meat like cuy or llama. Yes, llama. Maybe fish, some river fish. Empanadas are not Peruvian. Neither is chicken. Neither is wine. That was brought by the Spanish. They're probably toasting to chicha or something like that. Not chicha morada, not chicha the music genre, chicha de jora. Did y'all notice that this plant becomes a llama too? Broccoli? Nope. Broccoli is European. These aqueducts are on point. The Incas actually had a superb irrigation system. Fun fact. I keep saying fun fact. It's fun for me. I hope it's fun for anyone else out there. If not, just fact. Before the Incas, there were a bunch of civilizations existing in the territory. Eventually, they were all conquered by the Incas. But instead of butchering the civilizations, the Incas actually absorbed what they thought was useful about the cultures, such as the irrigation system. Do I even need to say that Incas didn't believe in angels or demons? I'm not gonna get into religion since the movie doesn't, aside from this joke, but it definitely was not Christian. Okay, the Incas did not have wheels. This is sometimes seen as a sign of lesser cultural advancement, but I mean, look at the landscape, look at the terrain, look at the stairs. What good is the wheel gonna do here? I mean, they had it all figured out, they didn't need the wheel. Hanging bridges, also accurate. To this day, locals give maintenance to some of the remaining hanging bridges. Great structures, very strong too. These spices and verduras hanging in Pacha's house, I find them pretty accurate as well. Okay, I've never met a person from any country in the world that keeps track of their height in the marco de la puerta de la casa. I'm not even gonna look up how to say this in doorframe. Just came back to me, doorframe. In my review of this movie, I mentioned that llamas don't live in the jungle. Yeah, they don't. They live in the mountains. But since Cusco is located at a, place we like to call ceja de selva, which means it has part sierra and part selva, I'm gonna give it a pass on this one. What is that supposed to be? Oh, the squirrel. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up too. So I couldn't pinpoint where the squirrel is originally from. Not from Peru though, I don't believe. Not this part of Peru anyway. Let me tell y'all, this valley right here, the river all the way down there, most accurate piece of scenery I've seen in the entire movie. If you've been to La Sierra or La Selva, you've seen the like. And here we have the first signs of Pacha and Cusco shipping. Yeah, I see it, Disney, I see the chemistry. Yeah, Pacha, keep him warm. Okay, I'll stop. This bench, couch, whatever it is Isma's lying on in this scene, reminds me of an actual bench in Aguascalientes, that little town you have to stop in before you go to Machu Picchu. Look at that. That grill, that is most definitely not originally Peruvian. And if that's supposed to be chicken, we didn't have chicken before the Spanish. They brought it. In this very, very awkward scene between Cusco and Pacha, it's stated that Pacha's poncho is made of alpaca. Accurate, though it wouldn't have been made with crochet. Let me show you how clothes and textiles were made at the time. To this day, locals use this technique in many communities, and tourist traps also. Oh no, remember what I said about the hanging bridges being accurate? Yeah, they did use them, but they did not look like that with the wooden pieces in the middle. Nope, they were all rope. And very resistant too. They probably wouldn't have given way unless they were very, very old or lacking maintenance. Pacha is so devastated in this part.
We shook hands on it!
And in case you were wondering, shaking on it was not a specific term of agreement in the time of the Incas. Not a known one anyway. Honesty was very valuable. It is said that lying was even unlawful, but we don't have any actual historical confirmation for that I know of. There are 3 Andean moral precepts that you may have heard of. These are Amasua, Amayuya, and Amakeya, which mean don't be lazy, don't be a thief, and don't be a liar. Some historians argue that these were never heard of before the conquering, and that they were made up and taught to people as if they were actual ancient precepts, so they would convince the native population to live by them. Does that make any sense? I'm not 100% sure about all these animals, the jaguars, panthers, whatever they are, the crocodiles. I do appreciate the lack of llama riding in this movie. We don't ride llamas, guys. We ride guanacos. Nah, we have cars. Lima is actually one of the cities with worst traffic in the world. Can you imagine La Javier Prado clogged with llamas though? Everybody's llamas spitting at each other. Inca Scouts. Yeah, Boy Scouts are not a thing in Peru. I know maybe one person who was a part of their school's scouts. My school didn't have any scouts. This restaurant, it's supposed to be a diner, is it? It looks like an Americanized version of a Mexican restaurant or like a theme park restaurant. This part here is based on the misconception that people from third world countries only eat gross things. Guys, we have McDonald's too. Actually, let me rephrase that. That is not a good example of good food. Peru is known as one of the best culinary destinations in the world, and all of the food mentioned in this scene, none of them typically Peruvian. It makes me sad because there are so many Peruvian dishes to choose from. We have ceviche, ají de gallina, lomo saltado, papa a la huancaína, pachamanca, seco de cabrito, juane, chifa, choclo con queso, queso helado, chicha morada. Somebody please make a TikTok audio of all the Peruvian dishes. I'd appreciate that so much. Although we also do have suri, this worm that some people in the jungle eat. Tastes like butter, according to Zac Efron at least. Never had it myself. That sombrero, Mexican, not Peruvian. And now in this scene comes proof that this movie is a million times better in Spanish. When Kronk wakes up Isma in this part, instead of saying, "This had better be good," she says, "Estaba soñando con Ricky." That is, I was dreaming of Ricky, meaning Ricky Martin. I'm pretty sure they didn't play checkers. Not Peruvian. I identify with Kronk so much in this scene. It is or, not and. Speak your threats properly, lady. Piñatas, also Mexican, not Peruvian. Neither is the music in this part. Wow. Shout out to the briefest shot of andenes.
Come on, man! Nobody lives forever!
Oh, in the Spanish version, the guards say, "Follow me, we're ugly anyway." Yeah, this movie is better in Castellano. These little symbols in the wall here are called chacanas. They represent various aspects of the Andean worldview, such as the 3 different spirit worlds that they believed in, or the Andean trilogy. Aw, hang it out, you guys. Don't let toxic masculinity define your relationship. Why did Cusco end up building this hut instead of Cuscotopia? There's actually an explanation for this. So Sting, who worked in the songs for this movie, wrote a letter to the production team of The Emperor's New Groove saying that he would resign unless they changed the scene, because he believed it would be unfair to have this character destroy these indigenous people's homes. I think you meant poor, Sting. Cusco was native Peruvian too. Also, the Inca would have given 0 fucks about whether people agreed. He wanted to make the next sun temple. Oh, there was a community living there? Gone. And the people would probably either be grateful to serve the Inca or secretly side with the Spanish or whatever group was rebelling against the Incas at the time. And with this not Peruvian at all music and the scouts again, we reached the end. I had fun. I'd like to mention again that no, I'm not a historian, I'm not a history teacher, and yes, I am Peruvian. And the reason why I feel the need to clarify this is because you wouldn't believe the amount of "but you're not really Peruvian" that I've got throughout my life. As a white Latina who actually lives in Peru, let me tell you, it is weird for us. I was born in Peru, as were my parents, and their parents before them, and their parents before them, and so on, and yet I don't have a true connection to the land. I speak a language that did not even originate in this continent, and I can't trace my ancestors back to any of the amazing cultural achievement of pre-Hispanic times because I'm not pre-Hispanic myself. And a lot of white Latinos have a foreign passport or family in Spain or Italy or whatever country it is their family migrated from, but some of us don't. I couldn't tell you if they identify more with the land or the culture in Europe, but many of us, if we're not South American enough and we're not European enough, what are we? I watched Soul the other day and everyone was preoccupied as for how Pixar would depict black culture and the struggles of being black in America, and the outcome was they didn't. The story was about a man trying to accomplish a goal, just as any other Disney or Pixar movie. He just happened to be black. And the way I appreciate a good story where cultural awareness is the focus, I think I appreciate even more when race and or culture isn't relevant, because ultimately people are born with certain skin color or eye color or into a certain culture by mere chance. Every movie or show portraying Latinos does not have to be about the struggles of being Latinos or how the culture impacted them or the people around them, more so the white people around them. People from different cultures and with different skin colors are also people who have dreams and goals and day-to-day struggles that have nothing to do with their appearance or heritage. And this is what The Emperor's New Groove does, as odd as it is to say. And while I don't believe such a sentiment or so much deep thought about this was put into making the movie, I still appreciate it. But we can do better. We are doing better. All in all, unlike Mulan or Hercules, The Emperor's New Groove is not based on any aspect of Peruvian culture or history. It's just a story that happens to be set in Peru, but could have been set anywhere else by merely changing the scenery and the name. I personally don't find anything offensive about it, other than the fact that they could have done much better if they'd simply stuck to their research or, I don't know, employed Peruvians to actually work in the project too much. So my call to action for this video is, instead of hating on the media that you dislike, use it as an inspiration to create media that you would like to find. It's so easy nowadays. You can literally film, write, edit, do anything from your phone and laptop. This would be a great moment to talk about the sponsor of this video, if I had one. On that note, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment to help me create more content. And if you've made it all the way to the end of this video, go get yourself a ceviche. You've earned it.
Oh, right, the poison for Cusco, the poison chosen specially to kill Cusco, Cusco's poison. Fat poison?
Yes, that poison.
Got you covered.